What is up, besties? It is your girl, the Karmic DF, back to you again with another video. And this time, I thought I'd end the week with something that at least I feel is a little bit less heavy than all of the shit we usually cover. Politics is divisive no matter what I do, so that's that. And then I just don't feel like doing a ditty reading today. So I figured a lot of you had asked me to cover what is narcissism from a spiritual perspective. So I'm setting the intention to basically help empower, you know, either empaths or victims of narcissist abuse so that you can better understand them so that you don't feel like a victim. Because, you know what's funny is as I'm tapping into the energy already, I'm seeing the scene from The Waterboy where he's afraid of his coach and then he envisions him as a little baby. And then I'm seeing a bunch of people walking around society, but they have baby heads on. So lack of emotional intelligence, lack of development already coming out. So as always, thank you to everybody that sits through 30 seconds of ads. It's a free and easy way to support my page. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, bestie. We would love to have you. Those that are still waiting on a private reading, first of all, 2 of you haven't even checked your email. So if your name is Debbie or John, please check your email. And I have 4 left. And then I'm going to reopen a soft launch for the people that sent me an email on the wait list. So for those on the wait list, keep an eye out for your email. You'll probably get an email. And they're going to be in waves because if I were to send all of y'all, like, I'd be overwhelmed. But yeah, so thekarmicdf.com if you want a private reading. Am I leaving it there? Yeah, okay. And yeah, so let's get into it. Yeah. Self-obsession. Dude, the narcissist card not coming out during narcissism. That's funny. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, all legend for entertainment purposes only. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right. Masquerade in the reverse. Okay. So one major theme about narcissism is that they do not like change. It's like they don't know who they are. And so it's like, instead of figuring out who I am, I need to gaslight you so that you don't catch on to the fact that I'm not perfect. Like, I'm hearing Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, where she's like, don't you ever say, I just walk away. I will always love you. So I think Spirit's alluding to the fact that it's like, they don't understand that love doesn't require abuse, kind of, you know what I mean? Whether mental or physical. And so it's like, that's all they know. Today for tomorrow. Think of like, because they're drawing me to like, you know, alcoholics. Obviously, I have some stuff in that department. But it's like you're using with today for tomorrow. It's like I'm using tomorrow's pleasure today. I need a cheap fix. So it's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know how to be in this world. And you know what they're showing me is like narcissist, empath. And then they're taking them and they're folding it into a coin. So it's like, it's different sides of the same coin. It's like they're reminding me of a quote that I always love to reference, where it's like 2 brothers have an alcoholic father. One is an alcoholic, one's been sober their whole life. Ask them why they're the way they are, they'll both say their father, meaning you have a choice to make with the predicaments that you have at play. You can either turn lemons into lemonade, or you can be a victim turned villain, which we cover in all of these, you know, celebrity ditty readings. And so it's like, whether you're an empath or a narcissist, in the beginning, you kind of come from the same origin point, and it's kind of how you split off. It's how you handle the trauma. It's like, I'm seeing empaths where they're getting emotionally abused, and it's like, I don't ever want people to feel this way, so I'm going to overdo it, which is where you get the anxiously attached and the codependent. Whereas the narcissist, it's like they didn't get their needs met, so it's like, I'm going to be louder. I'm going to be more aggressive. This will make my needs get met. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing both the empath and the narcissist growing from, you know, an unhealthy environment, and they're both walking, but it's like the emotional intelligence isn't growing on the narcissist, whereas the one that's empathic is on like emotional intelligence overload and empathy overload. So it's like they're 2 sides of the same coin is kind of the vibe. Anything else from these cards? I feel like this isn't really, Jupiter expansion, a big sense of self. What if anyone's wondering where I got that, 3 reminds me of Jupiter, which is expansion. So it's like whatever I can do to make other people think that I'm great because I don't feel great inside at all. It's like, I think one thing maybe some of you might need to hear is whoever that narcissist is that's popping up in your mind, they hate themselves more than you hate themselves. You know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe here. It's like, I don't know who I am, so I'm kind of leeching on to everything else. Because this is remind me of how narcissists never really have a sense of self, so they tend to, oh my God, and this energy, spirit team, help me ground. Ugh. I think because they're trying to make me embody it. But in this energy, it's like, I don't know who I am, so I'm going externally to figure out who I am. So like, maybe you have a narcissist friend and then they copy your outfits and stuff like that. That's kind of the vibe here. It's like, I don't know who I am. And I'm really overwhelmed emotionally with that full moon there. And it's like, they don't like change and they don't know who they are. And every step feels more, you know how like, we reference this in a lot of videos where like, think about an animal that's caught in a bear trap, right? They don't know who put the bear trap down. So if you're going to help that animal, for all that animal knows, you put the trap down and you're going to kill it. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, there's a deficit in intelligence for narcissists. There's a deficit in emotional intelligence and awareness, because I just keep hearing fragile, 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 fragile. And I see my spirit team being like, why the fuck? And I've had this conversation too, so I'm glad we did this reading, where it's like, why do we call narcissists dangerous? Because they're really fucking fragile. And what I'm seeing is a piece of glass, and I'm seeing someone hit it with a really, 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 really small hammer, and it's shattering. And then I'm seeing ego. So it's like, on the spiritual end, they're like, we don't really understand why y'all are afraid of these, because I just keep, like, I just heard man baby in my mind. So like, I don't know if some of you are thinking about a man in particular, but it's like, they're children. They're grown-up children, and they react and they lash out because I'm jealous of the nights that I don't spend with you. I wonder who you lay next to. Oh, I'm jealous of the wind. Oh my God, I love that song. Yeah, that's a really good example. Jealous by Labyrinth. Really good example with the envious gluttony at the end of the deck. So yeah, I want to take a look at the tarot because I feel like we'll be able to get way more with that. So as always, if you enjoyed these, let me know that you like them down in the comments below, because I love doing these psychology readings, but they obviously don't blow up the same way P. Diddy reading would. So just leave a comment down below to let me know if you guys enjoy these psychology videos, even if it's just an emoji, just so I know. Like put a black heart or something. I don't care. Put whatever your favorite emoji is. Just let me know if you guys enjoyed these so that I'll keep doing them. So as always, thank you to everybody that sits through 30 seconds of ads. It's a free and easy way to support my page. And if you're new here, please smash that subscribe button, bestie. You don't want to miss out. We cover everything, everything. Pop culture, conspiracy, true crime, psychology, all of the above. So, and to those that want to book a private reading with me, thekarmicdf.com. Right now, we're only doing the wait list, but if you're seeing this in the future, just go to my website. And yeah, so I'm going to take a look. What does Spirit want us to know about narcissism from a spiritual perspective? And then anything that could potentially help empower people moving forward, so that, because I just keep hearing the word fragile. It's like, I'm in Spirit's energy, and it's like, y'all really afraid of these little man babies? Like, that's kind of the vibe. Like, I'm going to be honest, which, don't get me wrong, I've obviously been the victim of narcissism many a times, but I'm also now in the energy where I get it. So it's like, yeah. All right, so let's get into this. Spirit, what do people need to know about narcissism from a spiritual perspective, and how can they empower themselves if that's what you want to talk about? Yeah, deficit of emotion. Like, I think there's a lack of maternal energy specifically for most of them. Even if that's like they had a nurturing mother, it's like there's something that's not clicking about nurturing energy. There's also something about societal expectations of how like a man needs to be a manly man, because I'm being drawn to like alpha males, and then, you know, like Andrew Tate and all those fucking losers. Sorry, not sorry. Allegedly, per my opinion. Sorry, Andrew Tate. I'm sure you're a lovely person. But it's like, a lot of this has to do with not understanding emotional security, emotional support. And with Queen of Cups to lead the reading, it's like, I didn't get my emotional needs met, and so I don't even know what that looks like. And instead of being smart enough to ask the question of, well, then how do I get my own needs met? It's like, now I'm reaching out for everybody else to fill my cup. Notice how the woman's upside down with that cup, kind of looking like she's trying to get someone to fill it. So it's like, we narcissists and empaths, we have the same wound. We're just going about it in different ways. Yeah, the Temperance card. It's like, I don't know how to balance. Because think about in the Temperance, the original card, it's 2 cups pouring into one another. It's like, I don't get that. Mentally, I just don't get it because I've never seen it before. And look at all this feminine energy. So again, I think a lot of people that suffer with narcissism probably have... I wouldn't say that they all don't have a nurturing mother, but they don't know what nurturing is. So it could be like, maybe a mom works and the dad's not around. It's a lack of nurturing. So it's like, I don't get it. It's like their brain cannot conceptualize empathy because they never... It's like how rich people can't relate to poor people and vice versa. You can't understand something you've never... Oh, spirit, that's a good one. Okay, I don't mean to share my own shit, but it's coming up. I had this therapist a long time ago that pissed me off. I don't remember exactly what he said. He was an old white dude. And we were arguing about something, and this is the quote that made me never go back. He was like, trust me, I know what I'm saying. I've been studying this for 17 years. And it's like, bro, but you've never lived it. You're a white guy that's never been through shit. Like, that was the vibe. So it's like, you can't conceptualize something you've never been given. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't conceptualize empathy if you don't have it in your formative years. So it's like in the formative years where they needed it the most, they didn't get it. And so instead of doing what the empath does, which is like, what the fuck? So I'm doing extra. It's like, I don't understand it, period. And so I'm just going to go outside of myself to get it. And stomping on people is the only means necessary because it's all I know. Yeah, King of Pentacles. So they tend to focus more on the exterior. Yeah, I'm hearing successful. I want the money and the cause. Yeah, today for tomorrow. Ego and pride. Yeah, this is like they have their demons. This is just a different way of facing it, which is not facing it at all. So also, with the 2 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, 9 of Swords, this is reminding me of like, I have an imbalance inside, both mentally and emotionally, that I don't know how to take care of with that 9 of Swords in the reverse, and I'm hiding the wound. Again, think about the animal trapped in the bear thing, right? And then that 6 of Wands is like, the ego that we're seeing is a facade. It's something I've created to survive. Just like the empath will be likely to like, you know, shut down or be extra giving to make sure they're safe. This is like, I bite you before you bite me so that I can feel safe. Do you see what I'm saying? Like biting the hand that feeds or something like that. It's like, get you before you get me. It's a very primal state because it's like, I don't understand leading the reading. I mean, we know that psychologically speaking, but this is like, with that 9 of Swords, it's like they're tormented by themselves. And so they use the grandiose sense of self because they're so imbalanced. So it's like, let me focus on the optics. Let me focus on money. Let me focus on external stimuli because internally I'm all sorts of fucked up. Oh my God. I don't know why, but I'm hearing Usher. Got me feeling it, caught up. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like they get caught up in their own bullshit. It's like eventually in order to survive, they buy into their bullshit because it's like fragile, fragile, fragile. That's what I keep hearing. Yeah, so it's like in order to survive, they think mentally instead of emotionally. It's like they disconnect from their emotional body. And it's like, now I got to study people. Honestly, I think it's a different form of intelligence, if I'm being honest, because it works, right? We wouldn't be having this conversation otherwise. But it's like, you know how they're showing, oh my God, I'm gonna butcher this. You know how like you have a dominant arm, right? So like sometimes, especially with men that work out, they'll like overdo it with something, but they'll underdo it with something else. Like I don't work out like that, so this is hard for me. I do like yoga and shit, but it's like, you know what they're showing me? SpongeBob. You know how he had those like inflatable muscles? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to show my arms to make it make sense. That's the vibe. It's like they're overworking their mental and underworking their emotional body. So it's like the mental's stronger, but to the point that they're their own undoing. And then their emotional body's not worked on at all. So it kind of like disconnects from the being almost. It's like soul fragmentation is what I would call it. 9 of Wands. It's like in their mind, everything is a threat. Everything, I need to be on guard, which empaths feel the same way. So again, right? It's opposite sides of the same coin. I need to be on guard. I don't feel safe. And so it's like, and then this with the Fool card, it's like, I need to study people. I need to always be one step ahead. I need to make sure that I can get out. This reminds me of like people that are like, but what if this happens? But what if that, like, they're constantly, I don't know how to, it's so weird being in this energy because I'm not one. Like, so it's like, it doesn't compute because in this energy, there's no emotion. So I'm not really, how I do this, like, this is so hard for me to, I feel like they put me into the feelings. Like if I'm doing a P. Diddy reading, they put me in his energy. In this, it's like my mind, I can't ground. My thoughts are going a mile a second. I don't know which way is left and right. Why do you want me to worry about you? I can barely focus on what's going on right here. Like that's the energy. And then there's no emotions going on because I'm spinning in my mind. And it's like, don't want anybody to know I'm not perfect. Don't want anybody to know I'm not perfect. Don't want anybody to know I'm not perfect. So it's like, get you before you get me. Like that's the vibe. Very primal. Look at all this feminine energy all over the spread. It's like they didn't receive that nurturing energy, so they don't know what it looks like. Yeah, so it's like they'll use other ways in order to survive and get what they need. So it's like whether it's passive aggressive, whether it's trying to... Because with that Queen of Wands in the reverse, it reminds me a lot of like passive aggressive. Like, you know, those backhanded comments where it's like, oh, I'm trying to be funny, but it's actually not funny. They're trying to make you be dropped down a peg. Because look at how this Queen of Wands in reverse is next to the Independence card. It's like... They don't feel free in their life with the Chariot card blocked out. So it's like, because I don't feel free and I can't speak what I need to say and I don't feel like my needs are being attended to, when I see other people that I think are excelling, I need to take them down a notch because they're more in touch with their intuition. Notice how she's holding the bird. So it's kind of like, well, what a lot of people don't understand is narcissists are very fragile and they feel like they're constantly ready for war because they're protecting themselves. So it's like they're not that dangerous. Like that's in this energy. It's like I'm in Spirit's energy, and I'm like, this is fucking comical. Because if y'all knew what was going on with their minds, you would find them pathetic. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Pathetic. Woe is me. Yeah, this is like they learned really early on that life wasn't fair, whether it was through parents and stuff like that. But it's like, I was never given anything. I'm trying to protect my heart space. Look at the dove right next to his heart. So it's like, got to keep that little part of me really safe. So it's like, if I don't give love and I take, then no one can take from me. It's giving me like, what is that saying? Get before get got. I'm so butchering that. I'm sorry. All channel, no brain. But it's like, I'm going to get you before you get me. That's kind of the vibe. It's like, yeah, I'm hearing the song one way or another. So it's like, I don't know how to get my needs met by a balanced connection. So instead, I'm going to get my needs met by pulling at you until you call me names. And then I'm going to project what I already felt onto you. But in reality, I think they know they're fucked up. Like, I'm not going to lie. In this energy, it's like, I can't give you what you want, but I'll take until you tell me it's not fair, and then I'll just move on to the next one. It's like they have a deficit of love and empathy. So it's like they're going, it's somehow they energetically, because this is how it's lined up, because what I'm seeing is yin yang, and I'm seeing narcissist and empath, and it's like perfect match. So it's like all narcissists will always be drawn to empaths until both of them learn how to even out their energy. Like, I don't attract narcissists no more, but I got heavy ass boundaries and I love myself. Those were two things I did not have in the past. So it's like, that's where the evening out is. The empath has to learn to love themselves. The narcissist has to learn to make room for other people. But this is all like part of the grand symphony that is life. It's like duality. How would the empath learn to empower themselves if not for the narcissist that poked all the wounds that made this empath go, wait a second, this can be used to create abundance. Like, that's kind of the vibe here. It's like we're both created from opposite sides of the spectrum to even the energy out. It's like, just like, you know, in the world, there can't be darkness without light. It's that vibe. It's like they're the opposite side of our coin, you know? Yeah, it's like they avoid all types of emotional turmoil and stress. They don't like when things end. And so it's like, nope, I'm gonna hold on to this for as long as I can. I think this is why they cling on to relationships that they're not even happy in, because it's like they're terrified of change. Because it's like, you know what I'm seeing is I'm seeing someone walking, but then they're looking down at their feet and the feet's not on the ground. So it's like, I'm not actually grounded. I don't feel safe here, which is how the empath tends to feel, right? It's like, I don't feel safe here. So it's like, I'm gonna get you before you get me. It's primal. It's, yeah, this makes sense. I do think that because like I'm being drawn to how everybody nowadays is like, narcissism, you shouldn't throw that word around because that's a very serious, we live in a world where everyone's going externally for their sense of self. Narcissism's at an all-time high. Like, I don't really understand that conception. Like, okay, maybe not full-blown narcissism for everyone, but damn near everybody got narcissistic tendencies. So, like, Spirit's just kind of alluding to the fact that, like, this aggression and this need to fight for oneself is coming from a childhood where my expectations weren't met, where my needs weren't met, where what we're not seeing is like both the empath and the narcissist in the childhood stage. They, again, going back to that statement, right? The two brothers, it's the same thing. It's like, this is how they survive it versus empathy or empaths where they just overload themselves in empathy. It's the opposite. It's duality. Spirit, is there anything else that we can learn to empower ourselves in terms of narcissism? Do not call them out in front of other people because they are really good at lying. We already know that, I think. I don't know if you've ever dealt with it. Because they're never going to be comfortable with other people knowing their shit. It could help them in terms of like if you're not around them. Like if you've finally gotten out, like I'm seeing someone packing their bags and leaving. If you've finally gotten out, then definitely expose them. Because I'm being drawn, I've never even been drawn to this part. But notice how there's like this jail cell door on here. And I'm also being drawn to the fact that there's a full moon. So it's like when you get out, then you can finally like have those emotion overloads that you feel. And then you can tell your story. But it's like, don't do that when you're around them because in their, like I'm in their brain and that's why I'm having such a hard time. Because in their brain, I'm like, this just is what it is. What's the problem? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just trying to survive. Like, what's, like, that's why I'm having such a hard time because this is not at all how I function. I move through my heart. They move through their brain. So it's like oil and water, bro. I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Realism, wish fulfillment. I think Spirit's alluding to the fact that it's not anyone's job to save someone with narcissism or narcissistic tendencies because they're not going to be saved. They have to realize it on their own. I'm being drawn to, oh my God, I think his name is like Lee Hammond, something like that. But he's like a really well-known like TikToker and YouTuber for talking about narcissism because he is one and he got help. Like it's reminding me of that. But in his story, I believe he got help because his wife left him or something. So it's like the only time these people will actually... Oh, sorry, it just made me think of something from my own personal life. The only way these people will change is if you walk away. And even then, it's not promising because they're so good at what they do that they might just hop on to someone else, right? We've seen this time and time again. Narcissists, they can't be alone. So it's like... what they need in order to elevate would be to be alone because then they'd have to face the very thing that they're afraid of, which is themselves and their false sense of reality. It's very fake. Like, I don't know how to describe this other than like, I would assume this is what it would feel like in your brain if you were in a cult because I'm in the energy and I'm like, first of all, the amount of times I've gone to my spirit team, are you still here? Because it's like, I don't feel anything in this. And that's the point. It's like their emotional body is turned off. So trying to get through to a narcissist, you're going to have to use logic. And even then, their logic is not real. It's like they have created a reality. It's like, you know how we talk about in the super spiritual videos where there's multiple timelines all coexisting at once, which is why like I don't really like to do predictions on bigger things like politics because when you're talking about millions of people, that's a lot of free will. So it's like this energy is so fucking confusing. I just don't. Are you still there, Spirit? Like, I think that's the point. I think Spirit's trying to get me that, like, it doesn't make any sense in their energy. That's the point. I don't think they make sense. I think this is why a lot of, people with narcissistic tendencies or narcissism will do anything to escape themselves because I'm trying to sit here in the energy in silence and I'm like, I'm so confused. I'm so confused. And I know there's nothing to do with the reading, so they're trying to get me to understand what they're feeling, which is like a lack of feeling, which is why I'm like, what? But in the brain, I'm just like, I'm so sorry if this is choppy, but they're putting me in the energy and an empath trying to understand narcissism is really hard. Intellectually, I got it, but emotionally, there's nothing there. So I'm like, hello? Like, there's also like, this energy's so weird. It's like, what can you do for me? How can I... This energy's so fucking weird. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sitting in it, and I'm like, I don't feel anything. I feel void. Like, that's the only way I know how to describe this. I feel so void. I think this is why they get off on, like, okay, full circle moment. This is why they get off on being so cruel. That's it. Okay. That's okay. Thank you, Spirit. Now I get it. So I'm sitting in this energy, right? And I'm like, I don't feel anything. I don't fucking feel anything. And I'm like, I'm talking to Spirit in my head. I'm like, I don't feel anything. And they're like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do this reading then? And they're like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what? But that's the point. It's like, do you see how now all of a sudden I'm lost for words. I feel like I need help. I feel like I don't get it. I feel like I all of a sudden don't have the tools I always have. That's the point. They don't have the tools. They don't have the emotional depth. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have the awareness. Spirit made me step into that energy so that you could see me glitch out, because that's what's really going on with them behind closed doors. That's why they made me do that. Oh, I love when they do that full circle moment. Because I was like, Spirit, people are probably sitting here like cricket, cricket, cricket. And they're like, exactly. And I'm like, what? And it's like, exactly. Make no sense, right? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, that's it. You see what I'm saying? Do you see how this wheel is spinning? And it's like, wait, what? And it's like rinse, wash, repeat. Wait, what? That's their brain all of the time. They don't understand. So how are you supposed to understand them? I just went into their energy. I don't get it either. All right, so Spirit, how do we... Honestly, like, if you were in this energy, you wouldn't find narcissism to be scary at all. Like, honestly, you know what I just heard? I feel like it came from movies. Teeny little whiny baby, something like that. Teeny little beady-eyed. Oh, beady-eyed little baby boy, something like that. Oh my God, The Switch, whatever. It's a movie, but it's like, oh, this energy is so fucking weird. It's like if you only knew what was going on in them, you would find it comical, because it's like, this is why narcissists leech off of you. It's because they're babies. They're children. They're like, they just don't get it. Like, imagine mentally you got stunted at like 6 years old, but you're a grown up. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I feel so confused. Honestly, this is helping me make it make sense, because that's the point. It doesn't make sense. So us trying to intellectualize it is what fucks us up so bad. Trying to understand something when we can't embody it. Y'all. Vulnerability, okay. Friction, yeah. Being vulnerable causes them tension, because it's like, if I don't feel safe within myself, how am I supposed to share myself with someone else? Like, that's kind of the vibe here. It's like, if I can't trust my own reality, if I can't trust my own brain, if I can't trust people, how else am I supposed to act? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying how they move is okay. Absolutely not. I've been through way too many of these. But it's like, you want me to be vulnerable when I don't even know how to be vulnerable on my own. So it's like, of course that's going to trigger me to lash out at you, because I don't know how to do it. So then I feel like I'm incompetent. And instead of going, well, maybe I should learn more about myself or why this hurts, I feel like you're attacking my character, because I feel stunted. So instead of admitting that I feel stunted and wanting help, I need to project all of my insecurities onto you so that you don't see that I'm so fucking insecure. Like, that's the vibe. Yeah, it's like, so we're much more comfortable in our masculine energy. We're much more comfortable in our mental energy. And we'll manipulate, because this is reminding me of the Three of Swords behind him. I don't know if you can see that. I really need to look up at the camera sometimes. But then this is also, I just watched the show too. Hold on, I want to put one more card out. This is also reminding me of the show Lucifer, because I was watching it again. In the whole show, he's completely misunderstood, because it's like everybody has this idea of who he is, but actually, you know, he's in his own form of pain. And Lucifer's kind of, you know, made to be believed as like this evil demonic presence, right? The devil. But it's supposed to be actually like a fallen angel, a misunderstood. So I feel like Spirit's trying to empower us by making us understand that it's like, it's not demonic, it's not dangerous. It is kind of, you know, soul crushing and life sucking, true. But at the end of the day, yeah, they're showing me my Scooby-Doo reference. The monster's just the next door neighbor, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, they intellectualize because their emotional body doesn't know how to work. So it's like, it's not even an intentional thing sometimes. It's just that their grandiose sense of self is making up for the fact that they don't like or love themselves at all. So it's like, let me get ahead of it. You know how, like, you try to get ahead of shit so that, you know, like, think about, like, planning. Like, that's their way of planning in their fucked up mind. It's like, I got to overwork the mental energy because I don't know how to work the emotional energy. That's really how this reads to me. It's like, let me be more vivacious and charismatic with that King of Wands there so that you kind of fall to me, and then I can latch on to you so that maybe you can hold me up. It's almost like they're looking for a mom and they don't even realize it. Because this is reminding me of like the culty shows where they kidnap a woman and then they make them their wife or mom or something. It's like what we're missing is like a deficit of maternal energy and empathy. And so it's like they're not dangerous if you understand why they move the way that they do. And we don't love ourselves. Very fragile sense of self. I need you to make me feel like I matter, like I'm legit, like I'm real, basically. It's like I need to use your intuition to help me rebuild. So it's like the empath in this dynamic, we both come from the same place. We both come from a lack of love. But the empath overdoes it to survive, and the narcissist doesn't understand empathy at all, and they're trying to search for someone who can fill it up for them. Do you see what I'm saying? Different sides of the same coin. So they're not, I mean, I know that it hurts. I'm not diminishing. I know I can't win no matter what I say on this fucking page, but they aren't powerful if you call them on their shit. Because I'm also being drawn to how this mask kind of reminds me of Pinocchio. So it's like, if you feel like you can handle the backlash, then calling them on their shit will make them cower. Because I'm being drawn to the scene from Matilda where the principal runs away because everyone's finally going after them. I feel like there's strength in numbers. There's also something here about how if it's a family dynamic, there tends to be like, you know, there's the scapegoat, there's the black sheep, there's the favorite golden child, there's the flying monkey. So it's like, even though especially with the chessboard there, it's like pinning the family members. So it's like, don't look at me, don't look this way. This person's bad, but it's a lot of projection because at the end of the day, they hate themselves. Like that's the vibe. It's like, I don't like me. I don't even trust my reality. So I'm going to cling to someone else to basically steal their life force, whether they're understanding what they're doing or not. But in reality, it's coming from a place of, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel loved. I don't feel worthy. I feel broken. Think about us as if you're an empath, right? Like we feel broken because it's like, I can't move strategically or I can't move with malice. You know what I mean? It's like different. It's this, I keep going back to like the father that's an alcoholic with the 2 kids. It's like, that's really what it is. They're not powerful. It's like they're deficit in their emotional center. So it's like they exercise their mental intelligence more to make up for it. That's why they seem like they're more smart. But in reality, it's like the empath can just like the narcissist can, I don't know how to word this. The narcissist has an overwhelm of mental energy, which they use to their benefit. The empath needs to learn how to kind of hone in their empathy and their intuition to use that to their benefit, because then it's no longer a fair game. Like honestly, as someone who's been through this, narcissist, I'm their worst nightmare now because I just be calling shit like it is. So it's like all you have to do is empower yourself if you're someone that has to deal with this shit, or if you resonate as an empath, because it's like your intuition's going to win against their mental energy all the time, because mental energy is not as strong as intuition. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, if this is someone where like you have to live with them or something like that, I wouldn't call them out because, you know, they're a fragile sense of self. But it's like your emotional center is a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. And that's what would take them down. Here's the thing, like, this is a good way to wrap this up. We don't poke at things that we're not triggered by. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for instance, think about high school, right? And the jocks pick on the nerds, right? But really, what do you think that's saying? The jock is feeling like they have to be, you know, the star quarterback, got to be perfect, got to have the perfect girlfriend. And what does the nerd represent? Freedom, right? You get to just be your fucking self as the nerd. You don't really care. So this jock who's like, why don't you care about, you know, the optics, is getting triggered by the nerd because the nerd gets to be themselves. Like I was a nerd in school. I wore all the weird clothes when everybody wore their $30 brown Abercrombie t-shirts. Like, it's like, you don't get triggered by things that aren't meant to teach you something and aren't meant to show you where you're lacking somewhere. So it's like, notice that the narcissist is getting triggered by you instead of being like, they're attacking me. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's like, what they're seeing in you is what they lack within themselves, or what they're seeing in you is something that they can't embody, or what they're seeing in you is something that just triggers them. So it's like looking at it from a different perspective is how you'll be able to empower yourself from people like this, because they're just insecure. Like that's the main energy. There's really nothing that deep other than like lack of a mother figure or lack of empathy. It's like we didn't get that in the formative years, so we mastered the mental and disconnected from our emotional body. It's a trauma response, just in a different way. Like in this energy, it feels very matter of fact. Like, yeah, you're a little broken, just in a different way. All right, Spirit. Anything else? Yeah, it's like they don't like to invest in things because then the mask wears off. Yeah, Ace of Pentacles in reverse. It's like that's why they do the tug and pull. That's why it's like I want you 1 minute, but then I ghost you the next. It's to do with the fact that it's like I see this pentacle actually turning into sand, so it's like what they have to offer really isn't shit. So it's like, oh my God, and notice how the little, I should do a video on how I read these cards, huh? So I find shit that sometimes I'm surprised with. But it's like, notice how this almost looks like it's attached to the cord. So again, it's reminding me of like being like, here, take it. But then it's like, the cord's on it, so it's like, gotcha. Like, that's the vibe. It's like, I have nothing to offer you, so I'm going to give you a ooh shiny, and then I'm going to trap you. Like, that's the vibe. Because they don't feel like they have anything to offer, because, again, they haven't nurtured the empathy muscle. Yeah, so they're an opportunist instead. Yeah, exactly. It's like they don't understand love. Like, they just don't get it. Because they never had it shown to them. They didn't have it given to them. Yeah, and so it's like, burnt out, change. I don't want to be. Yeah, it's like the Ten of Swords is an ending, and then Death card's all about an ending, but then the Two of Swords to end this is like, I don't want to look at it. And then also, what about how we know narcissists make a mess and then walk away from it, right? Like, oh, destroyed you, walked away, no, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So it's like they just can't take accountability, because then it's like, I'm not good enough. And that's what they feel deep, deep, deep down. It's like, I'm not good enough. So it's like, when you call me on my shit, I'm going to run away. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go, because it's like, I'll find someone else to be able to lie to themselves with that little blindfold on there until they get tired and fed up. It's like they do this wheel around. They find someone to put up with their bullshit, rinse, wash, repeat, find someone. But it's like, there's always a catch with the little vines on there. It's like, there's always a catch, because they're always about the opportunity. What can you give me? And then when you start to feel burnt out, that's why they leave you, because the mask of their illusion of the grandeur sense of self is starting to slip. And so when that happens and you cut them off, or you decide to, or you start thinking about it, it's like, oh fuck, they're starting to see through it. The mask is slipping. And so it's like, oh, I'm gonna ignore all the damage I've done and find someone else that buys my bullshit until it eventually wears off. They will constantly be looking for a quick fix until they're left alone to have to face themselves. These are not the type of people that you want to end up with. Like, it's just like they can't take accountability, because it ultimately goes right back to, you're telling me I'm not good enough. And what is everyone's core wound these days? Abandonment and not feeling good enough. So they don't want to be abandoned while simultaneously knowing they can't give you what you need, because they're leeching off you to get it from you. So it's like, if I pretend to be what you need, it'll at least hold me over. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably why Today for Tomorrow came out, right? It's reminding me of the alcohol. This is probably not the greatest thing to mention on a Friday. Drink if you want, just be responsible, you know what I mean? But it's reminding me of the alcohol thing. It's like you're taking tomorrow's dopamine and using it today. That's kind of how the narcissist moves. They're not thinking 20 steps ahead. I mean, I'm sure they do in other types of situations, probably work and stuff with money, right? But when it comes to like love and relationships, it's like, what can you give me? How can I keep this mask from falling off? And then once you start to see through it, I'm going to gaslight or love bomb you to try to keep this cycle going. But when you really are done with me, I'm going to walk away and pretend I never made that mess, because God forbid I'm held accountable, because then I have to think I'm not good enough all over again. And that was the whole thing I was trying to avoid to begin with. That's the narcissist energy. Back deck, yeah, can't let go. And then Page of Swords also reminds me of our childhood, right? Look at the home. And pages are about children. So it's like, these are people that like, they get fueled from fighting. So they probably have seen either fighting in their home life, or they didn't have people to focus on them. So it's like, I had to lash out to get attention. Maybe their parents didn't pay any attention. So it's like, I had to manipulate in order to be loved. And so I went out in real life and continued to do that, because look at the conflict card right there. So it's like, I feel like a lot of these people had parents that didn't pay attention to them, or just couldn't give them what they needed to some extent. So they learned to act out to get love. And just like the empath learns to overgive to get the love they need, the narcissist learns to act out to get the love that they need. So again, it's still coming from a wound where it's like they can't let go of the past, and this is how they learn to move. Throw a fit and I get my needs met. Throw a fit and I get my needs met. That's like the real main energy here. Yeah, it's like the past is always with them. They feel trapped and they convince themselves that they're a victim. It's hella martyr energy. And so instead of changing, I become a victim turned villain. That's the vibe. And it's like, I'll ghost you if I need to. I'll project it and say, no, it was you if I need to. Whatever I need to do to get my needs met because I don't feel like I'm good enough. That's really all it is. So I'm going to leave it here, besties. thekarmicdf.com if you want to book a private reading. Right now, just if you want to book a reading, go on the wait list. My website, I can't talk, bro. This energy is so weird. I can't even explain it because I feel no emotions in my body right now, and that's so not me. So there is definitely a deficit in empathy. Like, I mean, we know that, right? But like, they're putting me in the energy, and honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me, which is probably why we don't make any sense to narcissists, because I'm like, I don't feel anything, guys. Like, I don't feel anything. And I think this is why they're so active. You know what I mean? Like, they're so aggressive. They need the fights. They need the attention. They need the back and forth, because it's like, in this energy, I feel numb. I feel apathetic. Like, if you know Tarot, Four of Cups, like, that's how I feel. It's just like, meh. So it's like, if I feel dead inside, any attention's better than none at all. So honestly, the only way to deal with these people is to starve them of the very thing that they want, so that they have to look at themselves. That's the vibe. So I'm going to leave it here, besties. Let me know, you guys, can you let me know if you finished these videos? Because lately I've been seeing that like the average view time is not as long as the video. So can you guys let me know if you finished these? Because I might make them shorter if people don't enjoy the long format. But let me know how you guys feel about this. Let me know if you want to cover other psychological things. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But I'm going to leave it here, besties, thekarmicdf.com. Send you guys so much love. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't watch the news. Fuck them all. You'll be fine. This boat is going to sink no matter what. So, you know, ride the wave and have fun and live your best life. But I'm going to leave it here, besties. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.